what we're gonna do today. We're gonna be rating every ADC in Season 14. I'll be trying to give a little bit of the plus and minuses of playing it and why I think they're weaker or stronger. We're gonna cook some tier list.
Doesn't get better than this.
I do believe I have to put Aphelios either A or B. I think if the lethality build, I haven't tested enough lethality Aphelios. If the lethality Aphelios is really good, then I could see him being A. But otherwise, for me, Aphelios is tough right now. So Aphelios is kind of tough in Season 14 because you don't have Gale Force, right? And you have so many like crazy champions, bro. Everybody's one-shotting, and there's so much mobility, and there's so much going on that, like, Aphelios doesn't like that. What Aphelios wants to play is a nice little front-to-back. He wants to have his little Ornn in the horn in the top lane, and have a little Enchanter in the bot lane, and everything's being chilling. He doesn't want to play against Elise. He doesn't want to play against fucking full psychopath Talon, Kayn, Ultra Fisting Sakali, Storm Surging on his head, you know? That's tough. I want you to be able to watch this and see this and understand which champions are strong in Season 14 and why. And as the meta develops, all of this might change a little bit, but I think it's a good starting point. And hopefully, like, you don't have to enter the season blind and you just pick whatever. You don't know what to build, right? Because that can be pretty frustrating. Some people like that, but a lot of people don't like that. So hopefully through this tier list, you get a good sense of what ADCs are strong, what has changed since last season, and also overall how ADC is as a role right now. But yeah, I think Aphelios is B tier because Gale Force was removed, and I think that hurts him a lot. In a lot of spots where it was like tough to play before, you could survive it because you had Gale Force. You could either play more aggressively with Gale Force or you had a tool. Like playing against Yone. Perfect example. We've all played against Yone. How do you play against Yone ult as Aphelios with no flash and no Gale Force? It's just unplayable. If he is not even on your screen, if he presses E ult, that's a whole fucking screen right there, you can't play. So right now, Aphelios, tough to play. But I do want to test out some lethality builds because I do think with the help of these strong lethality items, we might be able to cook something right here. So now we have Ashe. Ashe, I think, really strong. On-hit ADCs are a big winner this patch. I think Kraken is really good. Bork is really good. Rageblade is really good. Terminus is really good. And also, Jackshow is a really good item on these on-hit ADCs to make them more durable. And I think Ashe uses that well. I think something like a typical Ashe build that I've seen a lot is either going like Kraken or Bork first item into Trinity Force, into either like Terminus or even Rageblade I've seen, even IE I've seen. There's a lot of different options you can do on Ashe. I'm not 100% sure what's best, but she definitely has a lot of good things going for her. She's also really strong as support right now. So in my scrims and in-house games, Ashe has been banned a lot. I do also have a pretty good read. I think I have a decent read on the meta right now because I've played like 50, 60 games of in-houses and scrims in like high tier competition. So that's why I feel comfortable making this tier list when normally I would wait with making a tier list until like I've played on the patch for like a week or so before I would, you know, make a tier list. Caitlyn is a bit of a tough one. I think B tier for me. Caitlyn also suffers from the removal of Gale Force. She is, I think, for me, it's pretty similar to Aphelios, to be honest. I think I need to test her out with lethality and see how that really feels. Because you guys remember lethality Caitlyn was OP as fuck at one point. And I could see it being a little bit the same with the fact that these new lethality items are so much stronger. But overall, I feel like she's just like a solid option for Season 14. Hovering in between A and B. Nothing crazy, not too bad. But a lot of people, like if you have a range support, Caitlyn's really good. If you have a melee support, Caitlyn's really mediocre. I'd say she's A with a range support, B with a melee support. The build that I've tried out on her was just like Collector into IE, into LDR, into BT, and it felt like pretty good damage, but I do think going something like Collector, Yumus, maybe even Opportunity, or Collector, Yumus, and IE, and then LDR, something like that could be good. And just like really speccing into lethality, because usually when Caitlyn's at her strongest, she's really good with lethality. Now we have Draven. I think he belongs in between A and S. I do feel comfortable putting him pretty high. I think he uses the new lethality items really well. I've still tried the Collector into Trinity Force build, and that build has felt really good. So you can still play him kind of like a bruiser if you want, although I think that build is semi-dead, but it's still like you can go like Collector, Trinity, Sterak, something like that. You can also go a very like squishy route where you're going kind of like the build I just went this game, where I have like Yumus, I have Collector, I have IELDR, and I'm just like pumping out damage. So you have a few options, and I think both are like really viable. Lethality right now seems like a really good stat because they changed how lethality works so that it's just flat armor pen now. So if you buy 18 lethality, that's 18 armor pen. So if you get like 2-3 lethality items going, that's like you're doing nearly true damage at that point. if they haven't bought any armor. So lethality seems really, really strong. Ezreal, I think, goes into A tier for me. I feel like he's a little bit weaker. He didn't really benefit off of the changes, and I think Cyril on Ezreal now is a lot worse. Maybe even put him into B tier. I think he also takes a long time to scale up, and I don't know if Ezreal really has the time to scale right now, because the game feels really explosive in bot lane. A lot of like fist fighting and a lot of crazy stuff going on. Like, I do think maybe I'd put Ezreal in B tier, and then I'll think about it a little bit. The build that you go on him is still the same, right? His items hasn't changed. You go Trinity Force, Mana Immune. Well, the thing is, like, before it would always be Cyrilda, but now it's probably just Orc, maybe? You could go a lethality item, but it's not too crazy. I think Ezreal's definitely a bit weaker. Not sure if I want to put him in A or B. I haven't seen him much. I don't think I played a single game versus him in scrims or in-houses, so my rating might be a little bit off. Rating, I mean. Jhin, I think, might be S tier. Jhin is fucking good, by the way. Jhin is both good with, like, Jhin is solid with lethality right now. Maybe A tier. Let's have him our sole A tier. Jhin is really good because he benefits really well off of the new lethality items and just the fact that lethality is a strong stat. He does feel sad about Gale Force being removed, but not that much. And I think the fact that people are playing a lot of squishies and the games are pretty like high intensity is very good for Jhin. I think the build would look something like Collector Yumus into IE LDR. Or IE Rapid Fire, and you just have like a solid 30-40 armor pan and a lot of crit as well. He's felt good in the games I've played it in scrims and in-houses. He still gets countered hard by tanks. I think tanks are really OP, so I think if people start playing a lot of tanks, then Jhin will definitely like drop more into here. I haven't seen that many tanks, so as long as there's not a tank in the game, he can be really, really good. Jinx, I think it's kind of bad now. Jinx is like out of the champions here, out of these like champions I've picked so far, right? I would not pick Jinx into any of these champs right now. I don't know where I'd rate Jinx. I feel like she's B tier. I think she also suffers from the removal of Gale Force. Most of the time you want to go IE anyways, but I think she's really, really like not doing the greatest. And she also, like, for example, Caitlyn, you can go lethality if you want, right? Aphelios, you can go lethality. If you're going lethality on Jinx, why are we picking Jinx, Beast? Why are we picking Jinx? So she's forced to go crit, and these crit items are kind of the same as last patch. But the problem isn't that the crit items are that weak, it's the problem that all the other items have gotten stronger. Tank items have gotten stronger. Mage items have gotten stronger. On-hit items have gotten stronger. Lethality items have gotten stronger. Crit items have gotten a little bit weaker, or the same. But Jinx is a big loser on this patch. I think she's not doing too hot. I would put her B or A minus. Around B tier though, I think is fair. She is still a very good beginner champ for learning the ADC role. I think right now Ashe does what Jinx does, but much better. In the sense that if you want to learn to play ADC and learn basic positioning and learn like basic spacing and stuff like that, Ashe does it much better. So I would recommend playing Ashe instead of Jinx if you're like relatively new to the role and you want to like understand how to play it well and just learn the basics. And then we have Xayah. For me, I think Xayah falls into, I mean, maybe C, but I think B. I think B. She's also pretty bad. I mean, we can have a look at some early win rates. Xayah is a really low win rate along with Ezreal. The biggest problem is that if people are playing Ashe, if people are playing Draven, if people are playing Varus, which we're gonna get to, and if people are playing Kalista, which we're gonna get to, then it's hard to play Xayah and not losing laning phase. And if you're playing into Lucian, that's another tough one, yeah. So she has a lot of tough matchups where it's hard to play Xayah, even if you have a good build path in the game. I did play one game of Xayah though, and I went Kraken into Rageblade, into Collector, into Wit's End, into LDR, something like that. Boy, oh boy, I was doing a lot of damage. I think like buying early lethality on Xayah now should be really good to get Q evolve, because lethality is just such a good stat early game now. Like lethality early game now is just the best stat in the game. Because if you buy Dirk, let's say you buy Dirk now, right? Before, this shit would give 10 lethality, right? You can see this is the old version. 10 lethality, 30 AD. Now it's 100 gold less for 5 less AD. But the difference is that it would do less depending on the level you were, right? So when you bought this level 5, level 6, it would only give you 5 or 6 actually armor pen, but now it gives you way more actual armor pen because you're buying it and it's just giving you straight 10 armor pen. That's 10 armor that you're shredding off every time you do any sort of physical damage now. Boom shakalaka, that's crazy. But yeah, I think Xayah, depending on matchup, she can be A if she has a good matchup. Most of the time though, I think she can be relatively tough. I think Kalista is really fucking OP. This champion is like kind of permaban in scrims, in high elo. I do think you could argue that in lower elo she's a little bit worse because she's like really hard to play, right? So she'd be more like here. But if this wants to be more like how strong I feel like champs are hypothetically, then I feel like Kalista has to go into Z tier. She's just so happy this patch, bro. She's so happy this patch. She just couldn't be any happier, okay? So think of it this way, right? Bork got buffed. Rageblade, better item now. Shield Bow got buffed. Terminus, new on-hit armor pen item that Kalista loves. Jackshot, crazy item for on-hit ADCs that like to be tanky. Look at this item for on-hit ADCs. Look at this item. Look at this item. 300 HP, 50 armor, 50 MR. During combat with champions, become empowered, increasing your bonus armor and MR until the end of combat. Let's say you are playing Kalista and you get a little bit fed. You get the 2-3 items, and then you buy this item, and now you have resistance against against physical damage. You have resistance against magic damage, and you have HP. You have everything that you need in one item, which is just so strong. I think Kalista, really strong. Just a typical build. Bork into Rageblade, into Terminus, into Jackshot, or Jackshot third, depending on if you want the tankiness. You can also go like Shield Bow instead of Terminus if you don't need the armor pen. Lucian. I think Lucian is probably up in S tier now. I feel like Lucian is doing, like, a lot of people are playing a lot of Lucian Nami again. It's kind of being revived as we speak. Lucian Milio is really strong. Just in general, Lucian is pretty happy with these new items. He still has his Navori, and you can buy a lot of lethality on Lucian now, which I think he's really happy building. And you just play him kind of still like a one-shot champ again, rather than like a combo champ. And you're going like Kraken into Navori, into like Dirk, into Kraken, into Navori, and then going Collector if they don't have armor, and then maybe LDR if they have armor, BT or something like that. Or you can even, like, I've seen some people rush Collector on Lucian, and Rapid Fire is good if you're playing with like Milio or Nami as well. You have a lot of different options. In general though, just like Kraken Navori is your core in most of the games. And in general, this champion just feels really strong, really strong. He does, however, have some tough matchups here. I think the Ashe and Kalista can be really tough. So that's the biggest thing that I would look out for. I think MF is here. I think she's solid again with lethality. Like, I think with lethality items again, you can see her winner. It's pretty solid. 53%. I think you go like Yumus into Collector, something like this. You're doing a whole lot of damage. So I would put her into A tier. I think into A tier along with Jhin. Both these champions are really good with lethality. Just go like Yumus, Collector, Cyrilda, and then Edge of Night if you need the shield. You can go like Hubris if you're snowballing. Opportunity, I think, is a good item too. Strong champ overall. So where do I want to put Nilah? I don't know. That's the honest answer. I think she should be a little bit stronger. I think she's a good user of lethality. So I would put her maybe into 8. Its Collector now is quite a bit better than last patch. It's 60 AD, 16 lethality. It's 5 more AD and 2 less lethality. But the lethality scale, like, doesn't take time to scale anymore, right? So yeah, I'd say Nilah is probably A tier. She's more situational than the other. She's definitely like really strong into good team comps. A lot of people are also playing ADCs mid lane. So if they have like double ADC comp, I think Nilah is really good because she has like her Jaxi on her W, right? And she's also really good at making certain champions like survive lane. Like if you have a Sona blind pick or something like that, you can make it survive lane by playing Nilah because you just W her whenever she gets hooked, and then everything is like fine. The Kog'Maw should be pretty good. Maybe Kog'Maw isn't good. The Kog'Maw should be good. There's like two arguments to be made here, right? Kog'Maw should be good because on hit is buffed. That's the like 100 IQ take. That's like, yeah, that's true. On hit is buffed, but then you have the Giga Chat in the other corner. You have the Giga Chat in the other corner going, no, Kog'Maw shouldn't be good because lethality items are buffed. And then you think to yourself, okay, I blind picked Kog'Maw. Enemy bot lane went Jhin lethality and Ashe support, and they have a Jace and a Talia and a fucking Ornn. How am I gonna do a singular auto attack as Kog'Maw this game? You can't. That's the obvious answer. That's the end of Kog'Maw's life, and he gets to explode onto the enemy team, and that's the only useful thing he does that game. I think Kog'Maw falls into either C or B tier. Maybe high, like low B or high C. He does benefit from this patch, but I would say that I think he needs some more buffs. But C tier. If he can't even have positive win rate, then it's over for him, I'm afraid. 32 out of 33. Even LOL Analytics puts him in D tier. I think Kog'Maw, he needs a buff. He needs a rework. He's not doing too hot right now. Samira's fucking strong. Either A or S. Samira's fucking strong. I played one game against Samira. I made her like 0-4, 0-3, and then she got a triple kill, and then she finished the game with 20 kills. That champion is deserving. And the same thing happened. I played Samira. I was like 1-3. I got a triple kill. Game was over. Lethality items are way better. The build that I went that felt really good was Yumus, Collector, into IE, into, I think I went Shield. No, I think I went Jackshot. Bro, once you get this Jack Show item, you just can't die. I was just face tanking everyone while one-shotting everybody. I lost on Kalista, I lost on Draven, I played Samira instantly. LP in my pocket. Fuck it, I'm putting her S tier. This champion is disturbing. I'll just say Senna, way better fasting. You can play it farming, I guess. Sivir. Has there been a bigger loser on this patch than Sivir? Everybody else, they got something new. Like, they got something new to buy. What is Sivir gonna buy? Let's be real. We're gonna buy Kraken. We're gonna buy Navori. We're gonna buy LDR. And we're gonna buy BT. And that's gonna be our build every single game. Doesn't matter what they have. I feel like Sivir didn't get anything new, while everybody else with their fancy new toys, fancy new items, everybody else is happy as fuck. And Sivir's just sitting in the corner like, what about me? I'll try buying Terminus. Well, your account's been terminated if you do that. Put her in the sea, put her in the sea, fuck her. Yeah, Sivir, not good. Tristana, hey. Right next to Xayah, her little buddy. She doesn't really have any new items. She buys Kraken, buys Navori or IE. It's the same decision that you made last patch. Like if you want to buy Kraken or Navori or IE. Everything is the same as last patch for Tristana as well. A lot of people are playing her mid lane. She seems to be pretty good mid lane because people like to play AP junglers. And yeah, that's about it. She's like fine on bot lane, but I don't think anything special. It should be quite a bit better, I think. On hit is better, and this new on hit should be pretty good on Twitch, I think. I do feel like he doesn't have a clear advantage over these other champs. And it's also like, if you're playing Twitch into Kalista, you're not happy. If you're playing Twitch into Draven, you're not happy. If you're playing Twitch into Lucian, you're not happy. If you're playing Twitch into Samira, you're not really happy. If you're playing Twitch into Jhin and Math, yeah, but maybe. But at the same time, if they have a good support and they can poke you out, it can be really hard lane. Even Twitch into Kai'Sa Tristana can be pretty hard. I do believe I have to put in B tier. I have to put in B tier. And now we have Varus, who I believe joins Kalista up in the Z tier. This champion is so fucking overpowered. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's the bug Kalista. Maybe it should be the only champion in this whole fucking tier list, because this champion is disturbing. This champion can buy lethality, and it has insane range, insane damage. The damage is disturbing. It can go on hit with the new crazy items, either Kraken or Bork first, into Rageblade, into Terminus or Jack Show, whatever the fuck you want to go. You just click on items. You could even buy AP and you'd still be 1v9. This champion is really disturbing. It was disturbing last patch with the Radiant Virtue build that I would say I a little bit pioneered with the YouTube clickbait, and it ended up not being clickbait because that was so fucking OP. But this champion is so strong. Play it lethality if you're into a lot of squishy champs and you can't auto attack. Play it on hit if you can auto attack and you want to be tanky, and play it Halo Blades with lethality and lethal tempo with on hit. And on lethality, I'm not sure. Like some people are buying Aximark first. I don't think that's so good. I think Opportunity and Yumus are better lethality items. They both seem really strong to me. Vayne, I think, falls into A tier. I think she's a little bit worse. She doesn't have the same like OP build going Stormracer into Triforce. I think she can't really abuse that as hard anymore. And also she's pretty bad into lethality champs, and she's struggles a lot in a lot of these matchups. I do think you can still go fleet in bot lane and you can survive a lot of matchups, but I don't think she's as free elo as she was before. You could build lethality on Vayne, but then it's kind of like you ask yourself, like, why am I playing Vayne, you know? Like, I could play lethality Jhin and have insane range. I could play lethality Varus and have insane lane bully and really good range. I could play lethality MF and have insane lane bully. I could even play lethality Samira or Lucian, and I think both of those would be better than lethality Vayne. Lethality Vayne is not terrible. It's just, I think, like, you kind of lose the essence of why you're playing Vayne at that point. I think also didn't change much. I think she's more situational now than she was before. I want to put her, I think I want to put her next to Kai'Sa. Maybe you could argue that she should be an A tier, but I do think, like, I don't want to play Xayah against the majority of these champions that are above her, right? I'd like to play her into Samira, into Nilah, and into Vayne maybe. But I wouldn't want to play her into Jhin MF, into Ashe, Draven, Kalista, or Varus. So it's kind of like pick your poison type of deal. I don't think like lethality Xayah is a real thing, and she's still building the same items as last patch. Like she goes Kraken Navori. She's not really benefiting off of season 14 at all. I think she just falls into B alongside Kai'Sa. And then we have Zeri. Zeri. I actually think Zeri's in B as well, I guess. A lot of champions in B. I think all the champions in B are like relatively solid. The champions in B, I'd best describe them as like, they are good here and there, you know? Like if you have a free lane for Zeri's gonna be really good. If you have a comp that has really bad engage and you can just poke them, Ezreal's gonna be really good here. If you have a champion, a comp that's diving onto you, Xayah is going to be really good here. If you have a comp, if you have like Nocturne Nico on your team, then Kais is going to be really good. If you have a Lulu and a free lane and you can like snowball, then Twitch can be really good. If you have a Lux, then Caitlyn can be really good. If you have a Thresh, then Aphelios Jinx can be really good. A lot of these champions in B are not necessarily bad, it's just that they kind of need things to make them good. So I wouldn't like blind pick most of the champions in B tier here, I'd blind pick champs that are above them instead. Even though I think some of these champions in B tier, if everything is according to how they want, they're stronger than the champions that are above them. Like I think if Zeri has a perfect game, she can carry way harder than Jhin can carry, obviously. Right? Nobody will deny that. The problem is that you're not going to have the perfect Zeri game most of the time, while you're going to have an easier Jhin game a lot of the time. I think Zeri falls into B tier. She's not really buying many new items. She feels decent. Like I think you can buy her with a little bit of lethality and play her more like a one-shot type of style. And I think that feels pretty good. I built her like static collector IE, something like that, and it felt pretty good. That's pretty much it for the tier list. I could do mages as well, but I don't really know how like mages... I think Hui, by the way, Hui in bot lane. This champ is OP, by the way. This champ is fucking OP. I've played it now 4 or 5 games in bot, so I think it's really OP. Really OP in bot lane. And I've played against it as well. It's so fucking annoying. It just feels so obnoxiously strong. I think 6, I don't know, probably 8 tier. I think worse than Play maybe, or maybe same. 6 is not bad. Karthus, I think is worse. Maybe 8 tier. Like he doesn't do that well into a lot of these champs. Seraphine should be pretty good. She has a lot of good support items she can buy and a lot of cheap AP items. A lot of good options for Seraphine. If I were to rate mages, they would all fall something like within this category. Maybe you could push all of them down to A, or you could push all of them up to S. I'm not sure. They're all pretty solid if you need an AP option. They all kind of do the same thing. Just Karthus is a bit different that he wants a fist fight, while all 3 of these just want to wave clear more. But I feel like Hui is probably the most... Like for me, I think Hui is the most OP probably, just because it's like the new champ, and Riot always makes new overloaded champs. So that's the feeling I have. But we'll see. We'll see. He did also get buffed. He got 3 armor. So maybe he's even stronger now. But we'll see. But yeah, I think that's it for the Season 14 tier list. Hope you guys are able to reach your rank goals and climb.